One of our colleagues took a long flight and is part of a fantastic conference that's taking place. Now, over 120 heads of state are expected to attend this year's UN Climate Conference in Egypt, where conversations on possible climate change measures will take place. Now, our very own Ryan Beshu is in Egypt covering the conference and brings us this report.
Well, good morning, Jason. This is where COP27 gets very interesting. A short while ago, I saw Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, entering the conference. She was greeted by the UN General Secretary, Antonio Guterres, as well as the Egyptian President, Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. She, along with many other heads of state, have begun arriving at the conference. In just a short while, we'll have the opening speeches. We'll have a lot of speeches over the next 2 days. This is very interesting to hear what some key players in this UN Climate Change Conference will have to say, including but not limited to the Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who has really championed and become a very important voice for small island developing states, not just here in the Caribbean, but also around the world. She's spoken up for Pacific states. She's spoken up for Middle Eastern states. She's spoken a lot about Pakistan and countries across Latin America. Interestingly, though, you know, it's not so much about adaptation and mitigation here. In the early parts of COP27, the important factor is the agenda item that has been added when it comes to loss and damage. Of course, that has a lot of impact, a lot of effects for both Trinidad and Tobago and the wider Caribbean, given the state of loss and damage that we are seeing happening right before our very eyes. Especially this year, we've had so much severe heat this year, records upon records being broken in terms of the hottest temperatures of the year, and then we've had some extreme weather changes in terms of violent rain, you know. So it's going to be a very interesting summit. It's going to be a very interesting conference to see, you know, how far these negotiations get in terms of loss and damage. You might remember that yesterday on Sunday, you know, there was a little bit of a delayed start. That's because Pakistan insisted that loss and damage become an agenda item, loss and damage funding. What will the United States President Joe Biden have to say about that, and how far are richer nations and more developed nations willing to go to assist less developing countries and developing countries to adapt and to mitigate the effects of climate change? So it's going to be a very interesting start to COP27. We look forward to also hearing from the AOSIS chairman, who is the Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister, Gaston Brown. His voice is also an important voice. He's a chairman of the Alliance of Small Island and Developing States. So what will he say as we, you know, we get to this point where we see what happened in Pakistan. We're seeing what is happening in some parts of the Caribbean. It's going to be very interesting to hear what some of these small island developing states heads will have to say on behalf of their people and on behalf of SIDS, because we're approaching a point, Jason, where it's becoming very, very critical in terms of loss and damage and the incurring of loss and damage that some of these nations are going through at the moment. So I'll leave it back with you for now, but I'll keep you posted if there's any significant changes that's happening here in Sharm el-Sheikh at the COP27 conference.